On April the 4th, an epoch in British history ended with the resignation of Sir Winston Churchill as Prime Minister.
Winston Churchill is often remembered as the great leader who stood up to Nazi Germany during World War II.
That morning, crowds gathered in Downing Street to try to catch a glimpse of the great Englishman. For the last time, the cabinet is summoned by the man who had led us to victory in the war.
But there's a side of Churchill that isn't celebrated, a darker side that involves racism, colonial violence, and controversial decisions. History has often tried to gloss over these actions, but we're here to shed light on the truth. In this video, we're going to talk about 3 reasons why Winston Churchill's legacy is not as heroic as many think.
To 300 million primitive people whose well-being is in our care may well produce chaos in India.
During World War II, Churchill made decisions that led to a tragic famine in Bengal, India, current-day Bangladesh. In 1943, while millions of Bengalis were starving, the British government, under Churchill's leadership, continued to export food from Bengal to support the war. When calls for help came, Churchill didn't act. In fact, he blamed the famine on Indians themselves, reportedly saying, "Famine or no famine, Indians would be like rabbits." His refusal to send food to Bengal cost around 3 million lives, showing his lack of concern for the suffering of the non-white people. Churchill's love for the British Empire led him to support harsh tactics to keep colonies under control. During the Mau Mau uprising in Kenya during the 1950s, when Churchill was Prime Minister, the British military cracked down on Kenyan rebels using brutal methods like forced labor camps and widespread torture. Churchill never condemned these actions. In fact, he often pushed for tough measures to maintain British power. His support for violent control methods was not just a wartime strategy, it was part of his belief that the British Empire should dominate no matter the cost.
I thank you very much indeed. You are welcome. We have only to go along together, each doing loyally its best, understanding the other's point of view and the many differences of interest between our countries.
Churchill was known as the man of his time, but even for his era, his racial views were very extreme. He didn't hide his beliefs by superiority of white people. He once said, "I do not admit that great wrong has been done to the Red Indians of America or the black people of Australia, but the fact that a stronger race or a higher grade race has come in and taken their place." His racial biases affected his policies, like his strong opposition to Indian independence. His views were not just opinions. They shaped how he led, affecting millions under British rule. These attitudes, seen through today's lenses, raise serious questions about Churchill's legacy. Churchill is seen as a great hero for his role in World War II. But we cannot ignore the other parts of his story. The decisions that led to suffering in India, the brutality of colonial rule, and his open racism. In my view, this goes beyond being simply bad. It's genuinely evil. Neglecting millions starving, which led to millions of deaths. These atrocities were never brought up, and yet he was glorified as a hero in the eyes of many. This is why researching and learning history is very important, so we as people will allow these figures to be celebrated.